everyone, I'm Margie O'Brien with Capital TV. This is another Capital Spotlight. Just days ago, there was such a wonderful crowd downstairs, all here because this Representative, Robert Lancia, has decided to name 2016 the Year of the Veteran. Why is that so important?
Well, first of all, when I first said I wanted to make 2016 Year of the Veteran, I want to make it clear. I said to the crowd downstairs, I'm not the governor, I'm not the speaker, and I'm not the Senate president. I don't have that authority, but we did pass the resolution last week, so I felt good about that. That was important. But why it's so important is I think there's some legislation that's really been moving through the House and the Senate the last few years, but it really hasn't gone anywhere. So I thought this being a critical year, a lot of our vets are returning from Afghanistan and Iraq. In addition, it is an election year, but we've had some legislation I think that needs to get really looked at closely, and I thought this year, and the working group I was working with said, we should call this the Year of the Veteran. So that was really the genesis of it.
And it was a great crowd, good numbers. How many vets do you think you're talking to, you're speaking to here in Rhode Island?
Well, I'm hoping it's all 65,000, and that's a good number, I think. Rhode Island had the second highest deployment rate in the country. A lot of people don't know that. So, a lot of our people come back. We're going to have higher numbers coming back. And I went on active duty almost 40 as a Navy chaplain. I volunteered, and my wife loved every minute of it because after the 6-month deployment, my captain wanted to make admiral, so we went on deployment by ourselves for another 6 months. I've gone an entire year. But when I got back after shattering my shoulder, I was with the Marines at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, when the war started, and I did 3 years at the base, and then it was time to go overseas. I fell and shattered my shoulder. Well, when I came home, I got a lot of great letters from the state. If we can do anything for you. The problem was that I got home, they couldn't do anything. And as I walked my district, and I'm a freshman, 1 year in, but as I walked my district when I was running, I met a lot of young men who had returned from service and weren't really doing anything or going anywhere. And so I said, we need opportunity, especially for our young people. In fact, the 18 to 24 age group has the highest unemployment rate of any returning veteran group.
So you're hoping to not only provide housing for some of these vets, but also to give them maybe a leg up on the employment side.
Yeah, to be clear, one of the veterans said, could you do a hierarchy of bills? I think the first one really would be the retirement. Hopefully the legislation will stop taxing veterans' pensions. We're the last state in the New England area that still taxes military pensions.
So that would be a money savings right off the top.
Exactly. So that's one. The second one was to create a 3% contracting preference for veterans for contracting jobs. The third one is to create a small business fund, $1 million fund with concierge service to teach business plan writing and so forth for our younger returning veterans to start businesses. And the fourth one you talked about, housing. We were talking about homelessness and younger veterans looking for housing. And one of the gentlemen, I was speaking down at Newport, and he was writing notes, and at the end he came up to me, he handed me a paper, he said, it would be a great initiative if we partnered up our returning veterans with the building trades, teach them plumbing and electrical and all this. They could help rehab houses, and then perhaps buy them, have an opportunity to buy that house. And of course, Providence, the mayor I was at one of his speaking engagements, and he made a point that they want to rehab every house in Providence, and he wants to use local people. So I said, what a great opportunity. So one of the members of my group has a connection to the mayor, so we're going to try to reach out to Providence and see if it's a test market.
Well, and if you think about it, that these men and women left at such young ages and served the country, they came back, they don't have the training necessary for a lot of the jobs out there. So that is a great idea. What was the reception like? What did you hear from the people that day?
Oh, it was fantastic, and a lot of people, I think, they feel listened to and cared about. And and I got to say, I'm a freshman, and there's been a lot of folks that have done a lot of great work. Senator Felag and of course Representative Gallison and of course Representative Jan Malik. I mean, I'm just following a great tradition of folks prior to me, and they've done a lot of great work, and so I'm just trying to follow along in their paths. And I've tracked legislation even before I got elected, and so I saw that legislation, and I thought, I wanted to try to push it on the House side, and the Senate does its thing, and hopefully, we can come together and make something happen.
I'm sure that you'd make a lot of people very happy. Thank you so much for joining us, and it really was a very great reception. I'm Margie O'Brien. That was another Capital Spotlight.